The Miami Dolphins. They're listening to me. I'm touching the heavens. I'm touching them. They're listening to me. And they took who I wanted. What is up, Finn fans? The Miami Dolphins made a trade. They traded up in the second round. We are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about who they took. We're going to talk about what they said about who they took. And that's Jonah Savaiinaea, the Samoan beast on that offensive line. Going to be a great thing. So now the Miami Dolphins were sitting there at 48 and they moved up to 37. So they went up 11 picks and they made a trade with the Oakland Raiders. Nope, the Las Vegas Raiders. And a lot of people were like, what a reach. I don't think it was a reach. I personally think that I don't think Jonah SaVaiinaea was going to be there at 48. I really don't think Jonah SaVaiinaea was going to be there. I'm just going to call him Jonah. I don't think he was going to be there at 48. I'm being 100% honest with you. So the Dolphins gave up their second, their third, which was 98, and the comp pick in the fourth round, 135. So they still have their original pick in the fourth round, which is like the 13th pick in that round. And what they got in return was 37 in the second round and 143. So now they have 3-5. So essentially they went back from 135 to 143. They kind of switched 8 picks. They went back just a little bit. I'm not worried about that. When you look at the cap, well, not the cap, when you look at the trade value, because a lot of people think we got fleeced. It's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. So what the Dolphins gave up, which was 48, 98, 135, was a total value of 566.5 points. What they got in return, which was pick 37 and 143, was 564.5 points. So they lost out on 2 points. It was actually a very even trade. So I'm not upset about it at all. And again, they got my guy Jonah. I've been talking about him every time I do mock drafts, every time I broke down prospects. So I was talking in earlier today's video about the best available, who I want out there. It was Jonah. It was Sean Revel, and there's another guy. I think Nick Amori, but I didn't think we would get him. I got a video coming out tomorrow, like usual, talking about best available, because when I'm looking at who's available for the guys that I wanted, there's not a lot left. There's 2. Everyone else I want is gone. Will Johnson eventually went, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll break that down, and I'll go into the picks that were taken in the first 2 rounds, the fact that Shedeur Sanders is still sitting there. Let me just double check that he's still sitting there. Yep. He's still sitting there. So we got a lot to talk about that will be out tomorrow. Right now, we're obviously talking about Jonah. So this is what PFN had to say about Jonah. He said, Jonah checks all the boxes on an early round offensive line target. He has great size and natural leverage at 6'4", 324 with 34-inch arm lengths. He's an elite athlete with a documented 4.95 40 and a 1.72 10-yard split. Numbers that are reaffirmed by his energized athleticism and blocking range on tape. On top of it all, he has extensive experience at both guards and tackle and can play both in a pinch. He's expressed his desire to play guard in the NFL level, and that's likely where he projects best with his wide frame, anchor strength, and drive physicality. That said, he has enough length to stick at tackle, and he's flashed improvement with his hand placement at time on extensions. At either spot, Savaiinaea can function as a rangy people mover with a tone-setting mentality and a sturdiness in pass protection. So, these guys had him ranked as the number 4 guard prospect behind Gray Zabel, Tyler Booker, and Donovan Jackson. They had him right behind them where he kind of fell. Did he fall there? Or were some other guards taken ahead of him? Now, an instant starter at right guard is a true freshman who then shifted out to right tackle for his final 2 seasons. Jonah is yet another prospect with a position flex. That said, Jonah himself expressed that he wants to play guard, which is perfect because the Miami Dolphins need a left guard. And if he really is like dead set, sorry, that he wants to play guard, it's perfect. We found our left guard next to Patrick Paul. Again, I talked about him at nauseum of how much I liked him, how he has experience at tackle and guard, how, God forbid, if Austin Jackson's injury isn't fully healed, he could play right tackle for us. Again, tomorrow's video, I will look at potentially doubling down on guards, doubling down on defensive linemen, who's still available, best available. Not a lot of corners are available. And again, I will talk about that. But when the Dolphins traded up, and I put the short out of my instant reaction. When the Dolphins traded up, I was like, because I was watching the draft and they're talking, and all of a sudden the back of the draft was Dolphins. And I thought it was like they're just showing each team, getting people hyped up. Then I was like, no, wait, they traded up. They traded up. Who did they trade up for? And then I'm thinking, is it Will Johnson? Because in my mind, I'm like, they never take who I wanted. They're, you know, I was so wanting Jonah Savaiinaea, and I'm like, they're not going to take him. Is it Will Johnson? Is it Trey Amos? Are they trying to get Nick Manwari? Which supposedly that was the move. They wanted Nick Manwari, but he went beforehand, so the Dolphins traded up to take Jonah Savaiinaea because they didn't think he'd fall to him. That's the rumor. But they were aggressive. They made the move. And again, the point differential in the picks given up and received is not bad. So when they moved, I'm like, who is it? Who is it? And there was Jonah. And I couldn't be happier. I think this is an A pick. I know people would say it was a reach. I know people are going to say they didn't need to trade up. I disagree. I think if the Dolphins sat at 48, I think Jonah definitely would have went to a team. Here, let me pull it up. They definitely would have went to a team like the 49ers, to a team probably Indy, probably San Francisco. I don't think that maybe the Bears, Chicago, but definitely one of these teams. I definitely think would have took them, maybe even Arizona. So they made the move that they had to. Maybe even New England would have took them, kind of doubled down on the offensive line. And they did what they had to do. So far, we have Grant, which I like that. I like that move. I gave it like a B+, A-. Great on that. I like this one, obviously. And you can't say, oh, Doug's like in every pick. If I talk about it before the draft happens and they take the guy I want, I'm obviously going to like it. Now, would I have liked for them to stay at 48 and kept their 3rd round pick and took one of the hundreds of guys that were taken? And the funny thing is, sitting at 98, a lot of the guys I wanted would have been gone if they didn't make the trade up. Xavier Watts went at 96. Jonas Sanker went at 93. Who else did I like that went early? There's a lot of Jacob Parrish went 84. Kevin Winston Jr. went 82. Dylan Fairchild went 81. Justin Wally went 80. Siobhan Ravel went 76. There's no way you would be able to get him. I think Amos went way earlier too. Darian Porter went 68. So there was no way. Trey Amos went in the 2nd round at 61, and then Andrew Makubo went 64 in the 2nd round. So even if the Dolphins were to stay and say, like, they were like, you know what, we're going to stay at 48 and we'll stay at 98, whatever, 48 and 98. We're going to stay pat. I think they miss out on Jonah Savaiinaea, and I just raffled off a list of all the safeties and corners that were gone by the time pick 98 came. So I'm fine with them being aggressive, moving up, and taking them. Now, this is what Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel had to say. Greer said Savaiinaea is expected to be the starter and will play guard. To have someone as big and athletic as he is playing 4 spots is key. Did Greer worry about not having a chance Had a pick at 98. Didn't weigh on me at all. That was a player we are very convicted on. His size, his power, his versatility, athletic kid, could play tackle guard. He was the right kind of kid for us. He was the highest rated guy we had. Took a 30 visit here. The opportunity arose and we took it. Besides the 30 visit, he also had a private workout with Dolphins offensive line coach Butch Berry. So obviously they have extensive knowledge on him. But giving up a second, a third, and a fourth for a second and a fifth, it's always tough. Draft picks are valuable. This was a player that will be a starter for us. He'll play guard. Essentially, the Miami Dolphins got two starters in Kenneth Grant and Jonah SaVaiinaea. We got two starters in two very pivotal positions on the trenches, and it's very important that we pulled that off. McDaniel applied he wanted to add quality guards. This was something we identified a long time ago that needed to be our focus. Pass protection and run scheme are a great fit for him. What about adding corners? The draft isn't over. It isn't, but the corner got real thin. There was a run in the third round. It's something we will address and keep working through. There are good players in the middle rounds we feel comfortable with, especially corners, safeties, offensive line, D-line. There are some good D-lines in this middle round, and I will talk about that tomorrow. With corners, the team's only glaring need, I asked Greer and McDaniel if they will make any attempt or have any desire to try to reconcile with disgruntled cornerback Jalen Ramsey, who the team continues to try to trade. Greer handled that question. I never close any doors, but I'm just focusing on the draft and players we are adding to the team. Jalen Ramsey isn't coming back. Trust me on that one. And what he thinks about the new look offensive line with Patrick Paul, Austin Jackson, Aaron Brewer, James Daniels, and Savaiinaea. Greer said we're excited about the group. Offensive line, we know what the talk was around here. Yes. When we added Connor Williams, good players of value. Offensive line is focus. When we always defend those guys, we will always defend those guys. They're the hardest working out there. Anything and adding some youth is in there with Robert Hunt leaving in free agency a year ago was important. We're excited about James Daniels. McDaniel's on the new line, and it's about getting better. Blah, 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 blah. Great pick. And they address the needs. They address the two very, very big needs. Now, there are some guys that are still available that have higher grades, right? Because now the fourth round, Dolphins pick 116. So they pick number 13 in the fourth round. We're looking at pick 103 is the start. And I'm looking on PFF right now. Let me show you real quick what I'm looking at. And you could see how many players have higher grades than 100, right? Now, not many safeties. Like Marcus Embo, if they want to draft a tackle, that's a possibility. Lathan Ransom, that's a possibility as well as safety. Cameron Williams, Jordan Phillips. But obviously you have guys like Damian Martinez. That would be a great DJ West. Double down on defensive line. I'm fine with that, right? And I'm going to talk more extensively about this in tomorrow's video. But I'm fine with that, with them going out and getting free agents. Asante Samuel Jr., Rasul Douglas. Go sign both of those guys. And then all of a sudden, you could double down on defensive line, get a CJ West, get a Ty Robinson, whatever you want to do. Get a Damian Martinez, get a Gunnar Helm, the tight end from Texas. Go out and get these guys. Get yourself a Cam Scatterbo, as long as you address it in free agency afterwards. But comment below. Let me know your thoughts on getting Jonah Savaiinaea. Like I said, the comp for the picks trade is literally, it's an even swap. So the Dolphins didn't lose anything, nor did they gain anything really. They gained Jonah Savaiinaea. So comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I got a video coming out for you guys early tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Draft starts at noon. I will not be live, but I will make shorts of each of the picks when they happen. We have 1 4, 3 5s, and 3 7s tomorrow. So maybe they'll trade into the 6th with those 3 7s or something. But I don't know. But I will see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. If it's up.